that's almost the same exact sort of feeling as an ab strap, and that's why it's so good.
What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to teach you a strength secret. It's not really a secret because a secret is like intentionally withholding information, and I'm not doing that. I might put it in the thumbnail though, to draw people into this. But it's not a secret. It's a concept, and it's just something not well known. A lot of people see them in the back of their gym, and a lot of people I found the first pair of these that I've ever used in my entire life underneath like this dusty box of stuff at the rock climbing gym I was at. And today I'm talking about these two things right here, hanging up behind me. They're called Abstraps. And I know a lot of you are like, oh yeah, Abstraps. The name throws off the reason they're so good, in my opinion. They're a great way to target your abs. They're a great way to develop a six-pack. But when used correctly, which a lot of people do not use them correctly, they can become the ultimate tool to unlock like hidden potential strength. It is something I've used since I started rock climbing in 2009. And I have made it a staple in my training still to this day. And I just want to show you the proper way to use them, why they are so beneficial, and just get a pair and start using them. You don't have to. These are my buddy Austin Alexander's Battle Bunker pair. He sent me a couple pairs of them to try out, and I helped them kind of like fine tune them and make them right. Because there's a specific pair that I would recommend, which are these, or something like these. So you don't have to get these exact pairs, but something just like them, because I've used Abstrap in the past that are kind of like more narrow, and when you put your arm on them, they just are very uncomfortable. And you want to make things as comfortable as possible. You want something that you can put your whole arm in, get full engagement out of. So I'm going to show you how to use these things. I'm going to tell you why they're so great. And I'm not trying to sell you a product here. I don't, especially off YouTube, I don't make any money selling these things. Of course, I help my buddy Austin Alexander sell some of these. But again, get them from wherever you want. Just try to mimic what they look like here, or just get them from battlebunker.com. So yeah, let me tell you about them. Let me show you them. So as you can see, a hanging ab strap. This is where you would put your arm. It goes straight through here. These are actually his Gen 1 versions. They have a new like neoprene on top of the Gen 2, but I don't think he sent me a Gen 2 yet. But either way, these are how thick you want the ab straps to be. Sorry, I just ate a Snickers ice cream bar, and those things are fire, and it's kind of like stuck in my throat. But these things are amazing because of the core connection. So again, they are called ab straps. They do work out your abs, but I am talking about core. And what I mean by core, I want to be very specific about this, is not like the donut that goes around your waist, because that is the technical term for core, but I'm talking about core strength. Being able to bring, like I consider this area right here underneath my arm part of the core. And that is controlled by your lats, your scapula, your pec, and serratus anterior, all of these muscles bringing like the power to bring your arm down to your core, as well as your hip flexors. So like everything coming to the middle, towards the midline. That is what I consider core, and that is what I consider strength training for your core. I would think about more of the core of your strength, core of your body. It's relatively in the same area. It's not just your abs or that oblique and erector spinae behind it. I don't know how to say that word, but the things that help flex your spine. It's not just that. It involves the upper body as well, bringing everything towards the midline. That's what I would consider core. And that's why these are so effective. Because when we hang on the bar, which is one of the most common questions or common comments that I get, is can't I just do the same thing on the bar? Even if you have unbelievably strong grip strength, you will still not get the same benefits as using an ab strap on the bar. The reason for that is the leverage point, or the point of contact relative to what muscles are being involved. So when I'm hanging on the bar like this, I'm going to go over there in a second, I'm going to show you all this stuff. But when I'm hanging on the bar like this, I am obviously grabbing onto the bar here. So the point of contact is going down from here, and if I'm doing like leg raises or knee tucks or something like that, my knees are coming up and my arm and forearm flexors are being engaged, and I'm coming down like this. That is still a really good exercise, and if you really want to run with that, go for it. But you will not be unlocking the full potential of your strength, in my opinion, from my experience, unless you isolate stuff with the ab straps. Reason for that is because we take this out of the equation. We take your whole forearm and your hand out of the equation, and we help isolate and target this area right here. Sure, they're called abstraps. Remember, this is part of your core. This is the reason it's so effective, is we're isolating this area in an isometric contraction because we are sitting in the abstrap like this. And I want to show you how to use them properly, because a lot of people use abstraps and they're like thinking about their abs, because that's pretty obvious. I think they should be called core straps rather than abstraps, because a lot of people will sag. They'll sit in the abstrap with their arms over their head like this. And this is completely disengaging all of the beneficial things besides your abs in the ab strap, core strap, whatever you want to call them. This is almost the most important part, in my opinion. The core strength is just a secondary benefit. The isometric contraction, pulling your body like this in that position, is so beneficial for pull-ups, calisthenics, front levers, core control, one-arm lock-offs, one-arm pull-ups, muscle-ups. This right here, the elbows coming down towards the midline, that is where the power comes from. And if you can add weight to this stuff as you progress and get a little more advanced, the benefits are just outrageous. So let me take you to the bar, and I want to show you how to set up properly and get the most out of these ab straps. All right, so setup is pretty simple. We just hang these. It's pretty self-explanatory. You hang these from the bar. The only thing I would look out for is, in my experience using ab straps, and you get a lot more control out of it, is make sure the carabiner is on the front side. So when I connect this to the bar, the carabiner is going to be in the front. And the reason for that is because I want to be able to counterbalance on the back of these ab straps, because as my legs come up, I'm going to be pulling into the ab strap to counterbalance that leg movement. And I don't want you putting your hands on top of here. I see so many people doing that. You are basically taking a lot of the benefits out. And I know the reason a lot of people do this is because they have such a weak upper core, this area I was just talking about, and they try to compensate for that by eliminating that benefit by resting their hand on here and pulling. And so you're taking some of the weight and some of the strain on here, and we are just focused on our abs again. The benefit comes from sitting in here in an isometric contraction. So what I like doing, especially with these bigger ab straps, to set up, I like putting my arm all the way through, and then it's touching the back of my armpit right here, and then going forward just a little bit to kind of center it. But as well as, if you do a lot of reps, you don't want this rubbing on the back of your armpit because it gets a little uncomfortable. And then the rest, self-explanatory. We're just getting in here, we're putting our arms through. And then to counterbalance, just to show you, I actually don't put my hand up here. I put it right on the back, kind of the lower part, or the underneath that strap. Depends how long your arms are, but this is how it's set up. And then what we're doing is we're pulling our elbows down before we even worry about our abs. This right here, so a lot of people will do this. They'll sag in here, they'll try to pull on the straps, and they'll try to flail their legs around to try to get a good core workout in. That's not it. You got to counterbalance right here, hands on the back, however you do it. I'm kind of finicky right now. Hands on the back, and then pull down with your elbows, and you can feel an isometric contraction in your lats, and it is fantastic. So if you just want to sit here, even put a dumbbell between your feet or something like that, if you want to sit here, this is more beneficial than trying to sag and do just your abs. So that would be the setup. You want to pull down, at least the very minimum is you want to be parallel to the ground with your arms. The bottom of your arm here should be parallel with the ground. That is how far we should be pulling down. I don't want to see elbows up here. Now, from here, we're going to be, let's just do some slow knee tucks. So I'm going to be focusing on, I always like target training. There's two main points in abstraps for me. There's target training, I guess three main points. There's target training, which is having a target to hit with your, let's say my knees. I always go knee to elbow, and then, you can go knee to in between or your forehead, whatever the case is, but you want to make sure everything is coming towards the midline, right? Coming inwards. That's where the core strength comes from. So from here, if my target is knees to elbows, that is where I'm going. The second thing I'm always looking out for is looking out for anterior pelvic tilt. Anterior pelvic tilt is where our body is like this. This is really exaggerated. Anterior pelvic tilt
what that's going to do for you is going to be a core killer, like an ab killer. You're going to basically eliminate your abs from the equation and just engage your hip flexors. To get a real core workout, you want to tilt your hips forward. Like that. Kind of like bring your hips forward. So tilting your hips forward was a bad thing to say because that's what we're trying to avoid. You're going to push, kind of reel your core inwards. So a little bit of this. Just do it a couple times to get the motion right, and and then get back in the straps. So watch out for that anterior pelvic tilt and the target. Have a target in mind. And then the last thing I always teach when I'm telling people how to do this stuff is same speed up, same speed down. This is a pain you need to learn how to enjoy. Abstraps will knock the wind out of you because they are so intense, especially the burn you get in your core. Like sometimes we would get we would train with such an intensity that we're all like gasping for air by the time we get out of the abstraps. But that's another reason it's so good. It's because you can keep the intensity very high while also keeping it very safe. So those three things, same speed up, same speed down. All that is tempo. So whatever speed and don't cheat it. You know, if I'm going really fast, I'm going up and down, control it. That's what it comes down to. I always tell people to slow it down. We're creating control here. That's what's going to allow you to do a lot better campusing or have control on the bar and use your obliques. So here's the setup. This is what a knee tuck looks like. We're going to pull down. We're in the abstraps, ready to go. Anterior pelvic tilt comes out. Our target is our knees, and we're going to come up nice and slow. Maybe even pause at the top, and then back down at the same speed that I brought my knees up at. Here, pause, down. And just 2 reps, I'm telling you. Especially if you put a dumbbell between your feet. Oh my gosh, that stuff is saucy as heck and just very difficult. But that is the basics. There's a lot. I'll go over more advanced stuff. Some programming in my app, it's all advanced stuff right now. I need to come up with a more beginner-friendly abstrap routine. But yeah, the abstrap routine in there is just, it's a lot of oblique and kind of like twisting and moving around and ninja kicks and all that sort of stuff, because that's how you get functional strength. You engage your core really likes to work in a twisting fashion, like for training, because athletically, we're not doing everything in a straight line. We're cutting, we're turning, we're moving, and that's what we want to simulate, especially on rock climbing. If you're climbing, we're moving our core in a way that's twisting and contracting at the same time, and you want to be able to, reach into that muscle toolbox and use those muscles as best you can. So, hopefully you all got the gist of what I was trying to talk about. Hopefully you know the proper setup now for abstraps and why they're so beneficial. That isometric contraction down into our serratus, down to our pec minor, all that stuff right here. This is the connection you want. This is the connection you need. I know it sucks. A lot of people just suck at that type of strength because we have so much being pinned. In my one-arm lock-off training that I talk about just holding an abstrap like this, right? As long as you can, because that shows you how much strength it takes. And because of abstraps, you might even just be able to toss into a front lever. Like if I was just holding like this, that's almost the same exact sort of feeling as an abstrap. And that's why it's so good. So, yeah. Hopefully y'all learned something. Hopefully y'all can get more out of your abstraps. Hopefully I convince you to get some abstraps. Again, I'm not trying to convince you to buy these. Emulate these. Let me show you one more time what they look like, just so you can get the whole gist. There's a lot of abstraps that are very thin and very uncomfortable. Since this is such a painful exercise that we need to lean into, you gotta get something that's comfortable for your arms to sit in, or else those abstraps will just become a dusty tool that never gets used. So splurge a little bit. These are one of the fundamental tools in my toolbox. I bring these when I travel. One, because they pack up so well, nice and flat, they don't take up much room. But 2, because of how easy they are to use on like a bar or something like that. Oh, that ice cream bar is getting me. It's raining outside, so it's actually not as hot in the garage today. So anyway, going off on a tangent. Just get some abstraps, use them properly, and you'll thank me later. I promise you that. Take care.